Samantha Maldonado. I feel like it's like flows. Samantha Cone, I'm like the most ethnic-looking girl with the most Irish last name now. So it's strange. Thank you guys for being here today. I'll talk about how a live event really did change my career. But I'll go back. I started Beachbody programs probably about 3 years ago. I, again, too, was just like that person that saw a T25 on an infomercial 3 nights in a row. So I was like, that's a sign from God, like, I gotta do it. Shaun T's telling me I do this. At that point in my life, I was really at a hard place. My now husband, so at least you guys know there's a good ending to the story. We were together for, I think, 6 years then. He is a police officer as well. But there was no jobs on this side of the state. We met in Pittsburgh, and there was no jobs, so we actually were long distance for like 3 years. And if anybody's done a long distance relationship, it's hard. Like, we had a solid foundation, and I knew that he was the one I wanted to like be with, but like, oh my gosh, that challenged us so much. He was making no money, working 2 part-time, really scary departments, going to domestics on his own. I was all the way across the state. We were trying to see each other, and we were broke. We would see each other every 2 weeks, and we couldn't even go out on dates. Like, we would sit and just spend time with each other. It was a test, like, from God, and that shows that we were truly meant to be. But at that point, I also was a nurse. I was working 12-hour shifts, night shifts, holidays, and I love fitness, but I started to like really get out of it. And I definitely was at my heaviest weight. I was not comfortable in my own skin. And I said, what can I do to take control of my life? Like, there's so many things that are not in my control right now, like his job and our money situation, and everybody around us was moving forward in their lives, and we were like stagnant. Like, do you ever see like everybody else getting engaged and you're like, that was us. And I couldn't see the end, and I just kept praying. And all I could think of was, the only thing I can control right now is me. Have you guys ever felt like that, like in your journeys when you first started? So that's what I did. I said, screw everything else, I'm gonna focus on me. And I worked out with Shaun T every day for 25 minutes, and something started to change. I started to gain control of myself and my life, and I started to care about other people and hear other people's stories. So this is like before I was even a coach. I had no idea there was a job opportunity. 8 months down the road, I was glamping, because that's what I do, not camp, it's glam, with my now sister-in-law, and she was like, Sam, like, you've been drinking Shakeology, I had results already, you should be a coach. And I was like, oh, I'm nursing, like, I would like some extra money, like, we have no money right now, that'd be great. Started as a coach, and it's very similar, and Josiah and I talk about this, like, to nursing. Obviously, we love to help people, but there's a really cool, like, healthcare fact to it. Like, with Shakeology, I was kind of like that nerd that looked into all the, like, ingredients, like, what does this do for your body and all this stuff. So I think people trusted me when, I kind of jumped on board with all of this. And I was enthusiastic, and I was excited about it. I had no idea where this was going to bring me. I would never think I'd be on the stage talking to you guys. I was a nurse, that's what I was going to do with my life. But I was that person that valued people's friendships and relationships. So that is what helped me, like, just move really fast in this business. It wasn't like I had secret sauce or like I did something crazy. I just cared about people. I was that person that if I was when I was in high school and I was like in another state, and I remember a friend of mine saying, I like moved to this area, I would say, hey, do you want to get coffee? Like, isn't that what we do? Like, it's all about building relationships. And I was good at that. So when I jumped on board with this, a lot of people did. I became a diamond in 21 days. I didn't know what I was doing. I just like got 12 of my friends, pretty much. And I asked my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, for his social security number when he was sleeping. I literally called up and was like, hey, what's your social? In his sleep was like, I'm like, all right, you're a coach. And things kind of just picked up. All of a sudden, I pediatric nurse. So if anybody's pediatrics, yeah, I mean, it's a hard job. Kids, babies would come in cardiac arrest, and I had to do compressions. And when you're in a job like that, you have to completely disconnect yourself in order to be able to go back every day. It is hard. So I found myself I loved my patients, I gave them everything, but I was very disconnected. So then when coaching came into my life, I started to connect with people again. This part of my life that I was missing started to come in, and I would hear their stories, and I was so interested. And I started to build passion and drive. And honestly, I tell people, I built my business from the bathroom of my hospital, because I literally, on my break, on my 12-hour shift, would be like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and I tell people I didn't want to spend too much time in there, so people were like, what's wrong with this girl in the bathroom all the time? But I would answer my messages or see what was going on and learn and literally YouTube everything and listen to top coaches and stuff and implement it. I always think, guys, you can listen to whatever, personal development, but if you don't implement, nothing's gonna happen. And things flew by. I've only been a coach for a little over 2 years, and in my pretty much first year of coaching, we hit elite. I had an amazing team behind me, and they're right over here. I love these guys. And we're a family. And a live event, what I was talking about was I went to Summit, and it was halfway through the year. I had no idea what elite was or what points were, and we literally were drinking at a bar, this is true, and my friends were looking at my elite points and said, you're really close, you can actually hit elite. So that's when I came home and I started to work with my coaches and figure out how to help them figure out what I figured out, if that makes sense. So that's what we did, and we hit elite in 2015. And this year has been a wonderful year as well. We're definitely growing, but there's also been other things that that have gone through my life. So there's a second part to my story that I want to share with you guys, because it has to do with Court of Force and how it helped me. And sometimes you see people standing up here and you're like, I can't relate to that person because they're, I'm never going to be elite, or I'm never going to be this. And we are just like you guys. So I'm going to share a second part of my story, and this is very recent. And I forgot to tell you guys, I retired from my nursing job in 19 months, and I actually went full-time at Beachbody, so that's what I do full-time. Yeah. And really, my drive and my purpose was because I wanted to one day have a family with this guy that I loved, and I wanted to be home with my kids. And I just imagined that life, being a nurse and being a lead was amazing, but being a mom and being a family, that was just amazing to me. So, if you figured it out, my husband moved here, he got a job, everything's great. We got married in August, okay? And right after we got married, I found out that I was expecting. And this is hard because I haven't shared this story with anybody. I'm a very private person. I'm always happy and I'm always excited for everybody, but I've been through a hard time in my life. So we found out we were expecting, and we were so excited. This whole life that we dreamed of finally was happening. My husband was so excited, and when I know now, expecting, you have a bond with this baby, from the minute you find out. And it doesn't matter how long, but you have a bond. And I waited till I was about 8 weeks. I didn't tell my mom, I didn't tell my sisters, and we were going for an 8-week ultrasound. And we walked in, felt totally fine and everything, and the ultrasound tech was just silent. I had felt the same. We actually had plans to look for a house, right after. I planned it an hour after this appointment. And they said, we don't have a heartbeat. And I was just shocked, pretty much. Like I said, being a lead or, being a nurse was amazing, but this was my dream. I worked so hard to get to this point, and now it just was ripped away from me. I felt like I lost control, pretty much. And it actually was a hard journey. From there, nothing really happened. My hormone levels kept increasing and increasing and increasing. So my body was telling me I still was pregnant. I looked the same. I already put on weight. My body was changing. But this baby wasn't alive and nothing was happening. I went for a month like that. This is just recent. For a month. And then finally the doctor said, we're going to take you into surgery, which was the day before the car event, so I apologize that I wasn't there. That's why I wasn't there. And I thought, okay, now I can finally move forward. I need to start working out again. I have this body that I'm not used to, and I don't have anything to show for it. You know, like people are just gonna be like, you gained weight, or you know, all I wanted to do was eat ice cream pretty much when I was pregnant. And then after that, you know, after surgery, I'm like, okay, I can move forward with my life and everything. And I started to suffer from postpartum depression. And I didn't know that that could happen when you have a miscarriage. I don't know why, I'm a nurse, I should know this stuff, but you just don't think about that. Like, you don't think like you're gonna end up without a baby, so depressed, you went through so much stuff, and really mine like was anxiety. I was like, couldn't control my head. And at this point, just probably a month ago, I'm like leading a team of people that are looking to me to be a leader, to be a lead, again, a two-time elite team. And I can't even control my mind. I'm so, you know, I couldn't even look at a message. It was hard to even process what I was going through. So my amazing husband at that point, and this, I swear this all ties in, he said, what's this court of force thing that came out? My husband has been so supportive of my journey, but he's a gym guy. He's like we were both rugby players in college, and and he's like, I go to the gym, but he drank Shakeology and stuff. So I was so surprised. He's like, you want to do a program together? And I just like couldn't take control of my mind. I felt like I just was a failure. I like lost control of everything. He said, let's do court of force. And I was like, all right, fine. And we started that program, and a big reason why I'm going to share this is because we went to dinner. We were so lucky to go with Joel and Jericho yesterday, and they were sharing with us that their favorite part about this whole thing is that is the emotional things people go through, and how Court of Force is helping them fight through these hard battles. I don't know if anybody in this room is fighting through a hard battle, but I freaking am right now. Woo! And Court of Force, something about this, you know, being in your own head and having to learn the moves, it brought focus into my world again. And I started to like feel better about myself. I started to get, you know, I already feel better physically, but mentally it just brought focus and drive back. And I remembered I have this team of amazing people behind me that are like depending on me, and I can depend on them through this really hard time. That's what this is all about, right? So we've been doing Court of Force for a couple weeks now, and it has been therapy. Honestly, we're doing it together. It is amazing. We support each other, and through a really hard time when you could be really disconnected from a miscarriage and all this stuff's going on, it brought us closer. So I just have to say thank you to Joel and Jericho, and I have to say thank you to Court of Force and to this community, because I have not been able to share this story on Facebook, on anything. I'm very private, but for some reason, I feel like God put me on the stage today to be on this panel and to share this story with you guys, to inspire you that no matter what you're fighting through, you can do this job. Don't think, can I do this? Think, how am I going to make this work? Because when you go through a really hard time, this is what's going to get you through.
Samantha Cone.